everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm now Kenza Oliver, and let's go ahead and get this party started. Now today's video is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. However, I am aware it can be quite sensitive, so I'd like to go ahead and preface by saying that I am someone who's coming at this from both sides of the aisle, as it were. I very much started off in one side, and then I migrate to the other side, but yet I can recognize the validity of both. And this isn't a declaration of what you should do. It's more of a soft おすすめ。なんだっけ英語でおすすめ。ちょっと待って、ごめん。It's more of a soft suggestion from someone who knows what it's like. Shall we say that? Alright, let me go ahead and get my mind ready for this. Oh my goodness, I'm just yapping, but it's such a hard thing to do. Alright, now, anyways, the point of today's video, the main topic is that I think every DJ should learn how to produce. And I think they'd be better off for it. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out there and switch careers and go from a producer. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that you need to switch careers and go up from being a DJ to being a producer. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that every DJ, no matter what level they are, no matter what the career aspirations are, no matter what level of commitment they have to DJing, would benefit from learning some basics from production. Now, let's talk about that. Alright, let's dive into the first point. Point 1. A little theory never hurt anybody. Alright, now for this point I'm going to be talking about how knowing music theory, even super beginner levels of music theory, will help your sets. Now these are all things you'll learn and you pick up for producing. Obviously, production, you need to know how keys work, you need to know how song structure works. And this is going to help your sets in a lot of different ways. And let's talk about the first way. So, knowing keys. I do think that knowing keys will help make your DJ sets a bit more musical, as it were. That sounds weird. Obviously it's a musical, it's a DJ set, but you get me. You know, stay with me. So let's say maybe next Friday I've got an 80s event coming up, and I might think, alright, well, I'm on at 11, so the dance floor might be the most packed at 11, but also I might be the third or second DJ up. Yeah, I might be the third or second DJ up, so there might be other DJs who have already played some of the classic quintessential 80s classic songs. Well, what can I do to make my set fun and make it appealing to the audience? You know what I mean? Like, what can I do to have a great set, essentially? Well, I could probably take some keys, find a bunch of songs in those keys and group them together. Now, this is 80s pop songs, so I'm going to start off with C major. That's a quintessential pop key, C major. I might do 4 or 5 songs in C major, then I might drop it down to A minor, which is the inverse of C major. Maybe play another 4 or 5 songs in A minor, bring it back up to C major, play a couple of songs there, and then sneak in some C minor songs, and then, you know, just weave and bob my way through different keys throughout my whole set. Now, the audience might not pick up on that consciously, but they're going to be having a good time because the set's going to feel a bit more musical than if you were just playing a bunch of random songs back to back. There's nothing wrong with going from BPM to BPM. Nothing wrong with that. But if you can go from BPM to BPM and then on top of that, sprinkle some key knowledge on top of that, your sets are going to be fantastic. And this also helps with your transitions as well. Now, one more time to touch on the key thing. Now, I don't want you to stress out. This isn't something you need to pick up and start doing right away. No, but just as you start producing your own songs, as you start learning how to produce and you start learning some theory, this will come naturally. Alright, so don't worry about that right now. You can maybe guess keys, and maybe you can find the information on Google, like which keys go together. But the more you do this, the more you naturally feel it without having to guess why it works. Okay, well now let's talk about your transitions. Now, how will knowing musical theory and how will the information and the skills that you gain from production, how will this help your transitions? Well, right out the gate, we have song structure. Now, these are things that I think most DJs innately already understand. Song structure, like, oh, this song is 140 BPM, it starts at 0 and it ends at like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. But there's also more to that. For example, song structure is how is the song, what elements of the song are there. For example, for a pop structure, you might have your intro, your verse, your second part of the verse, your pre-chorus, your chorus, your refrain, second verse, your bridge, etc., etc. Now, of course, you don't have to be a producer to understand and recognize these parts when you hear them in a song, but having the experience of producing these songs will make you approach it a bit differently. It's like having inside experience, as it were, like experience on the ground. It's the same thing with phrase length. So each of those phrases, whether it be a bridge or a chorus or an intro, an outro, a verse, a second part of a verse, a refrain, whatever, those are things that really matter to us as DJs, because we might mix one bridge to the intro of another song. Or let's say you do more EDM focused songs. You might go from one drop in a song to the intro to another song. Or you might go from a drop, maybe do an outro of one song to mix it into another song. There's all these different ways you can utilize phrases and different structural parts of songs to mix them together. And I think most good DJs innately do that already. Now, once again, sprinkle some musical theory knowledge or experience onto that, and it's going to make it even better. In fact, this will help you really get more into the nitty-gritty of the songs, especially when it comes to maintaining energy or changing the energy. Now, all genres aside, I think one of the quintessential things that a DJ must do is create the energy for that event, or set the mood, create the vibes. If a DJ can't bring the vibes, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing as a DJ? Now, it can be any genre. It can be any type of event. Let's say, for example, I'm playing a grown and sexy night, and I'm playing a little bit too much R&B, and people are getting kind of sleepy, or people start, touch each other a little too long on the dance floor. Or let's say I'm playing an EDM night, and I'm just doing drop after drop after drop after drop after drop. No room for the audience to breathe. That's too much energy. And then the first example was not enough energy. So, knowing theory, innately knowing song structure, innately considering phrase length, and innately understanding the energy that you want to create and sustain for the evening will make you a way better DJ. It's the difference between one of those DJs who is DJing for themselves or who is DJing for the audience in mind. And a good DJ DJs with the audience in mind. Right, now this last mini sub point, it all brings everything back together and it ties it in. So let's talk about how knowing keys, understanding the correlation between different keys, and knowing song structure and phrase length, well, how is that going to give you a more tactile understanding of music? Well, if you can build something, then you can dissect it and you can rebuild it in a live setting. So for example, let's say I am a house DJ, and I love pocket. I love the grooves. I'm so into that, especially when it goes to 140 BPM. Like, I'm really into it. Give me like a nice kick and drum, like a nice kick drum pattern with a nice bass line and some keys, like synth keys, whatever. Yeah, I can totally do that. That's my shit. I dig it. But now let's talk about from a point of view where I've also had some experience producing it. Well, yeah, if I have produced my own patterns, if I produce my own drum loops, if I produce my own bass lines, or if I, sampled keys or whatever, if I have the behind the scenes experience as that were of doing it, it's only going to improve my DJ sets. And what if I'm a techno DJ and I have like a very tactile stem-based DJ setup for that? Maybe I have like a Allen and Heath or Allen and Heath or whatever they're called. Maybe I have like a six track mixer, and I've got all these different groove boxes and clip launchers or sequence launchers that I use for my set. Well, it's just going to help me to get more into the nitty-gritty of this music and more granular if I have experience producing beforehand. So I can take this drum loop from this song, and then I can go ahead and add these keys from this song on top of this, and I might take this bass line and this groove from another song and put it together. It's going to make my live sets that much more dynamic. And of course, now with a bunch of different software and DJ companies coming out with hardware that has stems already activated in it, where you can separate the vocals or separate the bass and whatever, there's going to be all of this creative freedom, as it were, that DJs can capitalize on if they know the theory enough to get into the nitty-gritty of these songs. Point 2 will add originality to your sets. Now, this is probably my favorite point out of all the points I'll be discussing today. And point 2 and point 3, they're connected, very much so, I will say. However, I do think the intention behind it is a bit different. Now, if you can create music that you like enough, that you feel confident in, that you would like to release, well, this is instantly going to give your sets originality that other DJs won't have. Well, let's break that down. How? Why? Well, you're no longer limited to what everyone else is playing. Your sets become personal and they become recognizable. Let's say I've got a couple of gigs lined up for the next 2 months. Maybe every other Saturday for the next 2 months, I'm playing a gig. And I might be, gigging with the same DJs. I might, see DJ A at one venue this Saturday and then maybe see them further on down the line a couple of Saturdays later at, venue C, D, E, F, G, whatever. Or I might see DJ B here, DJ B there, whatever. This is going to make my set stand out when compared to their sets or put together, because I might drop some songs that no one else is playing because they don't have those songs due to the nature of them being my songs. So yeah, I think, let's say to the patrons or to the club owners, the venue owners, this makes you easily recognizable. It instantly differentiates you from the other DJs. No offense, no shade to DJ A or DJ B, but as a DJ, you should want to have a bit of uniqueness about you. You should want to have your sets be your calling card, as it were. And by adding your own original productions, your sets do become your calling cards. So yeah, so point 2 and point 3, they're all kind of connected, but for point 2 right here, I really wanted to stress that this is about identity, signature sound, and owning your space as a DJ. Now, once again, I'm not trying to say that all DJs need to be producers, but if you start producing and you realize that you kind of enjoy it and you kind of like it, well, then the next step would be to incorporate the songs into your sets into a way that makes you feel comfortable. You don't have to go ahead and release it just yet, but you could play around with having them be properly mastered and putting them in your sets and using that as a way to differentiate yourself. But when you do feel comfortable after having done that, then we're going to get on to point number 3. But I do want to mention one last thing. It is important to master these songs. You can't just export something from your DAW into a DJ set and have it go over well. It's going to sound like doo-doo garbage compared to the other songs that are professionally mastered. Now, of course, there are a bunch of AI mastering platforms out there that can do it for you, but I still would suggest going on Fiverr, finding an audio engineer, and having them master your tracks for you. Even if you're not going to release them, you still want them to sound great in the club, because the audience might not be able to intrinsically know why, but everyone's going to tell when there's a drop in audio quality in your set, and that's embarrassing. So yeah, if you can produce your songs and play them in your set, amazing. But don't let the sound quality ruin something that could potentially improve your standing as a DJ. Point 3 will take your career to the next level. Now, this is a continuation of the things I touched on point 2, and let's continue on with releasing your own music. So now let's say you've produced a couple of tracks that you liked, you got them mastered, and then you tried them out in the wild. You threw them into your set and the audience liked them. The venue owners didn't get mad, the reception was very positive. And now you think, oh wow, it would be a shame to just sit on these. And you're correct, it would be a shame to just sit on them. So what can you do? Well, throw them up on Spotify. Throw them up on SoundCloud. Don't throw them up on Spotify. Throw them up on SoundCloud. Throw them up on YouTube. Throw them up on Bandcamp. Throw them up on Beatport. Wherever. Find a distributor that you can release these songs out into the wild with, and then see what happens. And there's nothing more self-satisfactory than having a song that other DJs will play as a DJ. It's great. It's like, like I'm giving back to the scene. I'm giving back to this culture, and it feels fantastic. And another thing that you could also do that I think is, maybe it's not as relevant as it used to be, perhaps, or I might just be showing my age, but back when I was younger, remixes were a way for DJs to come up. You could find an established artist that has an established song that people tend to like, or that people already like, and then remix it. Now, in the year of our Lord, 2026 right now, where we have, I think, almost every new piece of DJ gear that's coming out, whether it be a standalone or it be a controller, it has stems functionality attached to it, which makes this so much easier. Because back in the day, you might have to go out and maybe approach the artist or approach the label for the vocal stems. Now, you could just, for example, run your controller via Serato, take the song, extract the vocal stems, and then put that into your DAW, for example, let's say Logic. And then you can construct music around that. And then you can just put that up on YouTube or SoundCloud. Now, it's very important that you put it's a DJ remix so that the label doesn't come after you to try to get it taken down. They might, you never know. But at least at least make it very clear it's a DJ remix so that you can be protected by whichever fair right agreements you have in your country. But that's another way where you can garner or gain more fans. Okay, so for example, let's do an exercise. So let's say there's an artist right now called Princess Mug, and Princess Mug has a song out right now called Glasses Case. Okay, so you have Princess Mug and Glasses Case, and Glasses Case is doing numbers. People love Glasses Case. People are doing TikTok dances to it. I guess if TikTok is still a thing, it probably might not be at that point, but you get me. People love Glasses Case. All right, so now maybe you've made a remix of Princess Mug's song Glasses Case, and you have your DJ name obviously in the title. Now let's say someone is looking for Princess Mug Glasses Case on YouTube. Maybe they want to, put some music on the background while they cook or whatever. Now, they might come across your remix video. It might be Princess Mug, Glasses Case, DJ XYZ remix. Now, let's say that person likes your remix of Glasses Case. They might think, oh my goodness, this is actually pretty good. I wonder if DJ XYZ has any other songs. And then maybe you have other songs that are popular remix. So, okay, so here's another song, DJ XYZ remix. And they go down the rabbit hole of DJ XYZ. The remixes hook them. They get them interested. But at the end of the day, your original songs should be the meat that keep them there. So let's say this fan listens to 2 or 3 of your DJ XYZ remixes, and then they come across your own original music, and they're like, oh, I like this. So this is actually pretty cool. So now you've expanded your fan base and your listener base. You've managed to, hopefully get a couple of Princess Mug fans to be DJ XYZ fans via your remix of Glasses Case. So I do think that if you want to take your career to the next level as a DJ, you definitely need to produce and learn theory, because it will lead you to the point where you can produce your own songs, whether they be remixes or whether they be your own music, and that will lead you to diversifying your appeal and diversifying the blessings or the opportunities that might come your way. So now, as opposed to simply being a DJ who plays other people's music, you are now an artiste who can command larger audiences and who can also maybe get paid a bit more for shows. All right, well, again, I do want to stress that this is my personal opinion. I'm someone who came from a DJ background, who then became a producer, and I used to DJ my own songs. So I'm someone who went from a DJ background to a producer background to a producer DJ background, and now I do whatever I want to do. But I do think that it's beneficial for any DJ, no matter what level you are in your DJing career, to tinker with production. You don't have to produce full-time, you don't have to produce professionally, but I do think that any experience that you might have with music theory and production in and of itself is only going to make you a better DJ. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.